So, Rick and Lisa, with all of your experience in your membership site and what you do with F.U.S.E and the amount of families you've spoken to and you've interviewed, what do you find to be some of the biggest challenges or issues that a lot of families today face?
Well, there are many of them, but the first one we want to talk about is time.
Hmm.
Most families, both parents work, they have activities that they're doing themselves, and they have their children in a number of different things as well: hockey, dance, you name it. Uh, so when it comes down to having time for family to be together, that seems to be the last thing that's happening. So that's one of the issues that we see.
And very tired parents from all the activities that they're doing, and moms that are stressed out with lots of children. They're tired. So once again, they're not able to make the time that they would like for their family. And statistically, when we look at the all the research that's been done on divorce and how couples stay together, we're finding that 50% of the couples are really able to be together. So that brings us to another big issue, is that a lot of couples seem to have a problem with commitment and being able to stay together.
And when you think about second marriages, that number is even poorer. More like 60% of couples have commitment issues. And to us, that's a pretty serious thing, because when there's families and children involved, when that commitment isn't strong enough, then families fall apart. And it creates a lot of hardship, not only for the parents, but for the children as well.
So we've heard a lot of. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of reports, a lot of newscasts, a lot of marriage counselors. What is your belief of adults, well, of course adults, but parents finding time every week for themselves, outside of the, well, I mean, my wife and I are those parents that have quite a schedule with our children. So it's, some days are, literally in, there's a quick sandwich or something and you're out the door again. But my wife and I are always trying to find time every week where we could just be by ourselves and be ourselves. Do you think that's a good thing for some parents that are maybe facing some challenges right now in their marriages, to say, find some time, whether it be half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, a week, where you could just be adults and be yourselves?
As a couple, if you don't take the time to be together and to be that partnership of, or actually a term we came across recently is called we-ness. If you don't have that sense of being we together as a couple, then your role as parents is lessened, because you're struggling to have some feeling of connectedness, not only together as a couple, but together as a family. We see that a lot in what in the families we've talked to, and a lot of the questions I get from the step parenting program that I'm an expert on.
Now, let's touch base on that for just a moment, because that's a very that's bringing us to a whole new dimension here. What are some of, if parents are not getting along and you see parents almost becoming distant because they don't have that time together, and a lot of the times, a good friend of mine, Brian Byro, says, you miss being in the present. You miss that that window of opportunity to really be together. And what are those effects? How can that affect our children if they see their parents kind of becoming distant? Do you find that from everything you guys have done and your seminars and everything, that this has an effect on children, maybe with their self-confidence or just their total demeanor in general?
I would look at it as a lack of connectedness between the parents means there's a lack of connectedness amongst the family, And so children aren't really learning how to have relationships. They just grow up in a house with a bunch of people, and we get up, we go to school, we go to activities, and they don't really learn that you need to sit and discuss and talk things together as a family, because parents themselves are not setting that example for their children. And so much of the time, there's a lack of respect between couples where they get too much in a rut in their marriage and their relationship, and they forget to take that special time for each other. And so the respect for one another starts to dwindle, and soon there's a lot more contention happening.
Okay. And that will filter right down into the children, will it not?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they've read many books on it where they start saying that, if the husband or wife has the lack of respect gets portrayed in front of the children to the spouse, eventually the spouse I'm not going to say reenacting, but they take on that lack of respect for one of the parents they're speaking with, and all of a sudden their tone changes, the way they act changes, and everything changes. So, okay, with that in mind, go ahead.
You said the word tone, and that was one that I was going to bring up.
Okay.
Tone is really crucial. And I know that Lisa and I have talked about this a lot, that sometimes my tone tends to be a little harsher or a little harder, and I don't even realize it. And I think often in relationships, not only with couples, but amongst family members, we don't realize the tone that we use reflects how we feel inside. And often, if there's issues in the family, then our tone reflects those issues. And children are very perceptive about picking up on tone. And it really makes a huge difference.
Yes. And I just wanted to say one other comment is what is portrayed on TV and movies is what we get. We feed ourselves on those, on that's our entertainment, and how many times children have seen a movie or program over and over again. And the values that are taught in some of the movies and shows, they really show a lot of disrespect amongst each other in the family, thinking that it's fine to be sarcastic and to speak to one another in kind of a rude manner. And so that is what people are thinking is the normal way of communicating. And that is not how we should be in our family. There should be respect and kindness always portrayed to each other.
Yes, agreed. We seem to have a little feedback. I guess your mic got a little too close to the speakers you guys are listening to there. Okay. Something you just said with tone, it struck a chord deep within me, because the tone, your tone, and the reason I'm bringing it back is because if anyone watching this missed it, your tone reflects how you're feeling inside. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Wow, that's pretty deep, because I'm in that position a lot where my wife will say to me, honey, it's your tone that you're using. And
might be a men thing.
It could be. On the outside, I'm always a very happy, healthy individual. Sometimes on the inside, though, you've got frustrations or angers that have built up. Now, whether it be from work, from whatever the case may be. I felt it a lot when I took a sabbatical from the gym for quite a while. And I found my daily demeanor started to diminish, and I didn't have the energy, and I didn't have the excitement and focus that I usually had. And now that, as soon as you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was my tone had changed to my entire family. So that's very interesting. Tone is a reflection of your inner feelings.
And if your mind is really busy on many things, and you know that you need to be, you're at home and you need to be happy and polite to your children, but yet inside your mind is racing, those inner emotions is what really comes out. And that's what I've noticed is, are you really angry? And no, I'm not. But you sound it, and very, I can be really sensitive to the tone that I hear from a voice.
Wow, that's phenomenal. You know what? If that's a huge lesson just to take away from this 10 minutes we've been speaking now. That's huge. So everybody watching, that's a very important factor. And you know what? I'm sure if anybody watching this sits back and is truly honest with themselves, they will feel the exact same thing, that yeah, their tone has, I mean, tones changed the way conversations go, both with your children, with your spouse, with your friends. Tone has stopped people from speaking. If you're in the middle of a conversation and a question's asked and you answer in the wrong tone, might not necessarily be the way you're trying to answer, but it changes the energy, it changes the aura, it changes the vibration of the conversation. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to mention that as well. So we seem to be on the same wavelength here.
Beautiful. Okay.
Energy is all around us. And when you walk into a room, you bring an energy with you. Mm-hmm. And it's provable. It's scientifically provable that there is energy around us. And you can often identify the environment in the room when you come into it. Mm-hmm. Or when somebody walks past you, you can see or feel, actually, as well as see, the mood they're in often. Some people are good at hiding it. Mm-hmm. It does come out, again, through that energy and also through the tone of how they speak.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.